Nothing. Good morning, both of you. No, just sandbagging a little bit, and good to hear you both. And trying to figure out, the clock's ticking. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my day there, Vito, and not sure who the other station is. This is Kilo One Golf Mike, Steve over here in Vermont. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Steve. Good morning. Nice to hear you, man. It's been a long time. I was wondering what the heck happened to you. I thought maybe I pissed you off or something, No, I know that's not the case. But great to hear you, man. It's been a while. I know Ben knows you well via VA3QK, so I'll throw it over to Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, good morning there, Steve. K1GMM VA3QK here. I think we've spoken a few times, but your reputation precedes you. Vito speaks very highly of all the work you've done around audio and your YouTube channel and all of that. So, hey, nice to talk with you, Steve. Big signal coming up from Vermont over here. I'm north of Vito, maybe by about maybe 30, 40 miles, something like that. So. Yeah, good to hear you.
Yeah, hey Ben. Yeah, nice to hear you. And yeah, well, Vito's judge of character isn't the greatest, so under the bus he goes. But no, I'm just fussing. And no, you didn't piss me off. Good God. Like I say, even the guys that piss me off, if I ran into him, would I talk to him? Heck yeah, I would. Doesn't mean I need to hang around him all the time, but I don't hold grudges, man. Life's too freaking short. Yeah, you guys were talking about amplifiers. Got kind of a funny story. Typical maniac move, right? I'm chatting with the guys on 615 the other morning. I think it was yesterday morning or the morning before, and I'm yapping with them for about a half hour, and I happen to look down at the control head for the PW1, and nothing's moving. And I thought, what the heck? Like 30 minutes into this. And I said, well, hold on, you guys. Let me see what's going on. And I get in there, and I realize the PW1 you don't have receive on the PW1 unless you do a mod. If it's not turned on, the tuner is not active unless the amp is actually powered on. Now you can run, just off exciter power with the amp in standby. But to get the tuner and to get receive, the amp has to be on. So what I do is I pull the coax, the feed out, and I put the radio direct into the meter, which is where the coax, the feed line's connected to, right? So it takes the amp out of line. And I was sitting there for 30 minutes on 11 watts chatting with these guys in New Jersey, Rhode Island. And Jerry told me, he says, yeah, you're like 15, 20 over. And I got a big kick out of that. So I've been saying for a long time, an amp is great, but is it necessary? Sometimes. Yeah, it is. Give you a little backbone, right? Especially when there's sharp QSB, it does help. It is a huge help. But if you pick and choose your battles and pick and choose the times you operate and you understand the propagation, how it's working throughout the day on different bands, you do not need an amplifier. And I know a guy who worked over 60 stations in that ARRLDX contest this weekend, M6ENS over in the UK, on 10 watts. No problem. And they heard him. So, yeah. The whole amplifier thing. I'm telling you, I'm tempted to just take the thing and put it in mothballs. Go ahead, Vito, K1GMM.
Yeah, very good, Steve. Well, listen, before I got my amplifier, and I think
What's up, Carson?
Steve,
Hey,
you
Tom.
and I think, got into the hobby or got our tickets around the same time. I had 3 monoband speaker wire antennas, Envis antennas. No, I kid you not, man. I think I'm beating my chest when I say they were 10 feet off the ground, because they were probably not even that. And I worked in the first 3 years with those antennas off the side yard and the backyard fence. Okay, no higher than 10 feet off the ground with 100 watts. I worked 100 countries and 50 states in the first 3 years with those antennas. And after that, that's when I decided I wanted to get an amplifier, and I ended up getting a commercial antenna, and, the rest was history. I got invited onto Ham Nation, I think it was episode 316 with George Thomas and Bob Heil, because they were doing a show on, getting out without the requirement of an amplifier and, a Yagi or big antenna, and, how people were doing it. And I met Bob at the Ham Fest up here in Markham, and we kind of became friends and whatnot. So he invited us on the show. But I agree with you. I mean,
oh gosh, Carson,
I got more
good luck with
satisfaction making those contacts on 100 watts in a wire than I do using the amplifier. And I'm glad I experienced that. I think it was very, very important to experience that, to understand that you really don't need the power. It's nice to have it, like you said, Steve, backbone, right? Anyway, over to you, Ben. VA3QK in the group, VA3VMD.
Yeah, thanks, Vito. VA3VMD, VA3QK in the group. Yeah, I remember seeing that, Vito, and I remember you telling me about it. And it's absolutely true. I entered the world of amplification in December, Steve, mostly at sort of the insistence of some of the guys that hang out here on around 163, but also I had reached a stage. I'd been a ham since 1995, and I never had an amp
You're a better
in all
man
those
than me,
years.
Carson.
And I never really had a sophisticated antenna system either. Typically running G5 RVs like I have right now. And I did okay for the type of operation I was doing. I worked the DX when it was there, and I worked the local stations when I heard them as well. So I didn't really see the need. But I have to say that adding it into the mix makes a big difference, especially if you want to sustain transatlantic QSOs like I've been able to do just recently, whether it's on 12 meters or 17 meters or 10 meters or whatever. You can actually engage in a longer conversation when people can hear you longer. So it makes a big difference. But Vito's point is very well taken, in that I think it's important that operators begin without one and learn to operate with their antenna systems, learn propagation, learn timing of the day, learn antennas. Because once you get that understanding under your belt, adding the amplifier really becomes sort of an additional means to making those contacts. But it's not the be all and end all. You can't depend on it for its purpose entirely. It's in the combination with all of the other elements: propagation, antennas, time of day, gray line. There's a whole bunch of other factors, right, that you have to take into consideration and understand and appreciate. So back to you, Steve. K1 GMM from VA3 QK in the group.
Yeah, leave a little pause there. Let me drop it. All right, I want to leave a pause. This is something that I'm trying to train myself on. When you're in a round table, go ahead and leave a little break. It's an old school technique. Don't be so quick on the trigger. We were chatting about that this morning, me and a couple of guys, myself and a couple of guys. Boy, my grammar is crap, isn't it? I think I'm in a safe zone, though, with you guys. No, you bring up, see, that's the whole other side of the coin. I've had extensive chats with the guys. I have a lot of friends across the pond. Some of them I talk to on a daily basis. And see, I'm going to say this, and this is going to set some people off. But, Vito, I don't give a crap. Americans Well, I should say, I won't talk about Canada, but operators in America, it's all about horsepower, right? Horsepower. Who has the most horsepower wins. Everybody thinks, and when the bands are open, the SFI is at 200. You need to run legal limit. Come on, man. Are you serious? These guys across the pond, see, they're restricted on a foundation license to 10 watts. And I'm telling you right now, these guys work 200 DXCC on 10 watts. They understand antennas. They know what's most important. I've had countless hours conversations with these guys. They know what they're doing. And you're right. I always say that, the backbone. But the backbone with power goes along with the beam as well. The antenna. The ground is incredibly important with some antennas. Anybody who doesn't think that doesn't know anything and probably shouldn't even be in the hobby. They need to do a little reading and a little research and a little experimenting. There's a guy, what's his name? Sven? I think it is. He lives up where you guys are, up north. I don't know. You guys probably know him. We've had jokes between the two of us off and on. I haven't spoken to him in a long time, but that guy doesn't run any power. Good God. What he is the loudest signal I hear coming out of that area. Always. Especially on 40 meters. And he lives on top of copper mines, So with ground conductivity like that, you don't need much of an antenna. And he doesn't have big antennas, man. I think it's just a freaking dipole or something, So, we say antenna, and location. They both go hand in hand, and one can kill the other. I always say that, gosh, I remember, I have my 100 countries, I think, in about 45 days. And that was on 70 watts on a little Anytone Quad 6 on 10 meters when I first got in the hobby. And didn't need any power, but the rag chewing, boy, it can be tough at times with QSB on the band. People, I've seen it, in the past, what was it, yesterday? I was on, on 10 meters, and the QSB was savage. I mean, they go from, armchair copy, like literally right into the noise floor in a snap of a finger. So having a little snot to throw out there, it does help, doesn't it? Like what you said there, Ben. Tough to carry on a rag chew, especially if it's a 3,000 to 5,000 mile contact when there's sharp QSB and you're running on a dipole with no power. Let's be honest. I get it, right? Go ahead, Vito. K1GMM.
VE3WGD.
Yeah, okay, very good, Steve, thanks. I think there was another break station in there. I'm not sure if that was Glenn or not, or somebody else, but we'll let him in here. Yeah, very good. By the way, Ben, if you get a chance, and by the way, Steve, I haven't had a chance to look at your new transceiver video. I was going to watch it last night, but I didn't. So I'm gonna take a look at that one today. But Ben, you got to take a look at Steve's second last video on his YouTube channel. It was regarding his experience with AM, and I'll be honest with you, Steve. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that whole video. I mean, I watched it from start to finish. And not to say that I don't watch your other ones, but it just was very intriguing. And so if you get a chance, Ben, take a look at that video. I think you'll find it pretty interesting. I'm not going to really get into it, what it was all about, but if you get a chance, look at it, because it was really good. I kid you not, Steve, it was 3:21 in the morning. I couldn't fall asleep, and I got the Android tablet out, and I thought, oh, what's this? And sure enough, I'm watching Steve's video at 3:21 in the morning. It was Wednesday morning, and I had to respond. If you look at my response, man, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning or something. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to have to take a look at that new transceivers video. I haven't seen it yet. Ben, I think there's a station in there. Why don't you pick them up and then give it a go? VA3 VMD.
Yep, very good, Vito. VA3 VMD from VA3QK in the group. I think Glenn rejoined us. VE3 WGD. But you know what? Steve brings up a very, very good point, and something we really need to practice more of. Leaving the pause between the last transmission and our key up, like I just did right now. I totally blew it. I think I really need to train myself better to get in the habit of leaving that pause, because
hey,
as
what's
you
up,
said,
Mike?
We've got people kind of joining us, leaving us.
Hey, Mike. Mikey, I didn't answer your question about the M audio card, and I promise I will do it this shortly here. Yesterday, I was thinking about that this morning.
So
sorry about that, dude.
I will try to do that. I got to train myself better.
Here? And looks like it's just the Smooth Criminals.
And I will definitely have a look at Steve's YouTube channel and have a look at that. Kind of reminds me of back in our 11 meter days, Vito? The QRM and the Heterodyne that would be on channel 11 and channel 10 back in Scarborough. Oh my goodness. That was unbelievable. So I think that's probably what you're referring to. Anyway, welcome back, Glenn, VE3WGD. New to the group is Steve, K1GMM in Vermont. Otherwise, it's still Vito and I. So go ahead, Glenn.
Thanks, Ben, and nice to meet you, Steve. VE3WGD here, Glenn in Cardinal, Ontario. Yeah, I was just listening to Ben, that you were saying about leaving stuff on, and Vito as well, and everything. And that I'm a firm believer of, I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is I go into the shack and I turn everything on. And then I go do my thing with the dog and the cats and everything else and have breakfast and what have you. And I leave it on. The one thing I've got is a Linco 32 amp power supply that I bought in 2001, that I bought to run when I bought my Kenwood 570. And it is almost run 24/7 for the last 23 years. Or 22 years. And it's working fine. It's the best, I think it was about $189 when I bought it or something, but it was the best money I ever spent, and I leave that on all the time. I turn all the radios off at night, naturally, but I leave the power supply on, and it has not failed me one bit there. So that works good for sure. And yes, Ben, I did check out the K-Wark swap shop there, and yes, I came across him, so I'm going to do a little more study in there to see what he's got and what have you. And you never know. Hey, the prices seem to be reasonable anyway, so I'll just have to check into it and see what if I want to take that plunge or whatever. And yes, Hawkesbury is not that far. I mean, it's about 100 kilometers north of me, northeast, and that, but it's not a place that I couldn't drive and then have a nice Sunday afternoon drive to if I need to. So anyway, I'll do that. Other than that, there's not a lot new and exciting. I'm just sitting here listening to all your conversations about the pros and cons of having a linear and not. And yes, I've only, as Ben and Vito know, I've only been a ham for 3 years, and that, but I've been in electronics all my life, and I'm a firm believer of. Sometimes I go a little overboard and I buy the best I can afford, and that, which, and I might go a little overboard on that. And then you get to talking to the guys and you find out about VM800s and everything like that. And you say, boy, I should have paid attention when I was just getting into this. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So I'm going to pass it over to you, Steve. K1GMM VE3WGD with a pause.
VE3WGD. Thanks for the reminder, and good to hear you, Glenn. And I'm located, just to let you know, I'm west side of the state, about a third of the way up the state west side in Vermont here, if it matters. And a quick comment, don't watch that video. Ben, don't do it. Don't do it. It'll either get your blood boiling or you'll never talk to me again. Oh, what a bummer. Anyways, the other video was basically what I consider when looking at new transceivers. And, you know, I've kind of forgotten about, I started that channel, and I'm going to end it here because this is not about me. I hate talking about stuff I'm into. But just to kind of elaborate on that video, I used to focus mostly in the early stages on that channel on folks that have just gotten into the hobby. And I feel like I've been looking for a new transceiver and just researching over the past 3 weeks, just doing deep dives. And what would suit, you know, my operating style, blah, blah, blah. What I look for in a transceiver. So I figured that's what that video is about. I threw up a video. Things to consider when you're looking for a new transceiver to hopefully keep people from making the same mistake I did. Which is not, there's two sides to every coin. It's not really a mistake. But the transceiver I bought on impulse has about one of the worst front ends on the planet. A 991A will absolutely eat it for lunch. I've seen it in real time. I'm like, damn it. But, you know, the TX side is superb. There's very few radios that can compete with that in a 2.9 bandwidth. And I'm not going to say what that transceiver is, nor I'm going to acknowledge it if someone guesses, because I'm not going to do that. But on the other hand, it's been a great transceiver. Incredibly reliable. I have thousands and thousands, an untold number of thousands of hours on that barefoot. Just 100 watts. And that thing has never failed. I've never had to do a hard reset. It's just every time I turn it on, it's always there, you know? So that's what that video was about. I didn't go into specific transceivers. It was all about what do I look for in a transceiver and what to think about. You know, everybody has a different operating style. They're into different things. You know, are you into CW? Big CW operator. Well, you know, do you like you running wide? Do you like, do you do a lot of DX? Do you do a lot of contesting? Do you do a lot of rag chewing? Do you like digital modes? You know, I mean, it's just an ungodly list, dude. But, you know, it's stuff I never thought of when I was looking for a transceiver. Never crossed my mind because I'd been in the hobby for a year. Upgraded to general. I was licensed in August of 15, upgraded to general, then extra in 2017. So general was what? March, I believe, of 2016. And then it was April of 2017 when I went to extra. So, and I always say this, there is no substitute for experience. And experience is your best teacher. And the other thing is don't drink the Kool-Aid, because the Kool-Aid that you hear is all spiked with like narcotics, mind control substances, and all this other stuff. Approach everything with an open mind. And, you know, I'll end it with this. I don't care who makes it as long as it does what I want it to do. And that's what that whole video was about. I'll push it back to you, Vito. God, I got to shut up. My overs are way too long. VA3 VMD K1 GMM. My apologies.
No, Steve. That's quite all right. Listen, we are privileged to have you on Frequency today as our guest speaker. Hey, listen, it's great having you stop by. Let me tell you, there's a lot of people that stop by this frequency, and many times they're just
hey,
listening.
Craig, how you doing?
And you know, it's great. It's great to get your input. I mean, you've
Craig, welcome to the channel.
You've contributed so greatly to the hobby in such a short period of time that it's inspirational, actually. And I'm sure you've come across your...
yeah, go get your ticket, dude. You won't be sorry.
You've had your battles. But you've done a lot of work, man, and I think there's probably over 4,000 people around the world that know you, and so my hat off to you there, brother. Keep it up, and everybody's got an opinion, and I know your favorite line. They all stink like a sewer. But anyway, no. In all seriousness, there's a lot of good work being done by a lot of people out there, and you're right about the radios. I mean, what's right for somebody may not be right for the other. Like, I'm a big remote guy, that, and for me, the ICOM 7610 really hits a lot of check marks.
Good afternoon, wherever you are.
And the 7300, I ran a 7300 for 6 years. I mean, I'm probably like you. I probably took that thing to the limit so many times, and know that thing inside and out. And I've always been on the fence about the Anons or the Sun SDRs. Flex, I don't have too much interest in. But I haven't pulled the trigger just because this stuff right now kind of serves my purpose really, really nicely. So anyway, enough of me. I'll throw it over to Ben, and I'll be back in a second. I'm just going to warm up the coffee, and I'll be back down. Go ahead, Ben, VA3QK in the group.
5 Mississippi, VA3QK here. Yeah, very good, Vito. No, I agree everything with what Steve is saying. It's absolutely true. The one thing we try to do here, Steve, is welcome new operators, old operators, and everybody in between. The one thing I've experienced over my adventures in the hobby, going back to 1995, is it's really hard to find a group of individuals who can keep the talk interesting and honest, and make technical topics understandable to those that are really not that technically astute, of which I'm not. I understand the general science behind the hobby, but I'm certainly no expert, and I'm not electronically trained by any stretch to repair my own gear, build my own gear, or any of that, and I'm always in awe of those that have that capability. Very much like how I'm in awe of, tradespeople who can do plumbing and electrical and drywalling and, carpentry work, just simply because that's not a skill set that I have. So, and that's what's really nice, is that there's a little bit for everybody. And before I drone on, I heard a breaking station in there.
What do you?
And I'm going to.
What are you talking about, Cheese Doodle? What do you smoke? Lucky Strikes? Filterless. You are a real man if you smoke Lucky Strikes, baby.
And I'm getting a little bit.
That's funny stuff.
A little bit parched. So, Steve, I'm going to turn it over to you. Or I'm sorry, Glenn, I'm going to turn it over to you as you're next in sequence, and let you take in that breaking station. And I'll be back hopefully within about a half an hour or so. So over to you, Glenn, VE3WGD.
Do they even make Lucky Strikes anymore?
QK in the group.
Well, I didn't hear a breaking station, but if there's one there, come now.
He's too weak. Forget it. Can't even copy him. Not even going to try. He's not even hardly bumping the spectrum.
I think that I'm having a very hard time pulling you out. Vito, by any chance, did you hear him?
I have a light copy, but I am copying him. What was the call sign there? Yeah, okay, VA3AGZQRP. Whereabouts are you located?
Oh, that's why I can't hear him.
Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with that area for sure, near Godrich, out west.
I have no
near
idea what you're talking about.
East of Lake
Jeez,
Huron
dude.
there. Very good.
It's okay, dude.
How
It's
many
all good.
watts
I'm
are you
thick
running?
in the head, man. You got to kind of bear with me. I get really thick, and I just
Well, come back one more time.
and I
Let me
have
look
no
at the
sense of
estimator
humor.
here.
That's the problem, really. This is a
we'll
good
stand
time.
by for a second. I'm not sure. We have a station in Vermont, and let's see if he might be hearing you on 5 watts. It might be difficult, but let's see. Steve, are you hearing the QRP station?
Negative. I can just see that he's barely there on the spectrum, but I ain't even going to try. There's no way I'll pull him out of there. Go ahead.
Okay, very good. I just was didn't want to leave you out, and just in the event that you were hearing them. Okay, so
Yo.
3AGZ, you're about
What's
a
going
5
on
in
there?
up in Unionville,
PAH.
Unionville, Ontario, and the station in Vermont is not copying you.
What was I going to address? Something in there. Craig. Oh, Craig. If you're still there.
Yeah, your audio sounds great. It sounds fantastic. It's
Let
cutting
me pull this
through.
back a little bit.
No problem.
Craig, good time to
no
get your
problem
tech
at all.
license,
What's
by the way.
radio that you're running 5 watts?
I don't know if you study propagation, but the shorter wavelengths are opening. 10 meters has been very, very good. So you can get any basic, even at just a 10-meter rig, or pick yourself up an inexpensive HF set, a couple $100, and get on 10 meters. Get yourself a dipole up or whatever you're going to put up, a 10-meter Mox on. Easy to build, incredibly effective. And you will just, you will have a ball, dude, as a technician right now. We're on the uptick of the cycle, so you'll be guns blazing, dude, I promise.
It's nice and crystal clear, and it's cutting through really, really nicely.
Good time.
But unfortunately, the
Good
other
time to
stations
pull the
aren't
trigger.
hearing it too much, so I'm not going to hold it too long.
Holy
but
crap, I got
thanks for
Splatter Boy
jumping
up
in.
above us. Oh, my God.
Okay, nice job. Yeah, it sounds great. And just one more time, what was the radio?
Guy's about 10K wide.
Okay, RS918. Okay, very good. Excellent. I will do that. I think I have seen those around. RS918. Okay, very good. Thanks a lot. Well, have a great day in 73. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Steve, I'll throw it over to you there. What's been going on? How are things in Vermont? Weather? Lots of snow? No snow? The sun's out. You got your beach wear on. What's going on?
Hey, really quick. Is it possible? Can you guys look around down at 163, see if we can slide down one? There is a very filthy station right above us, and he's about 10K wide in here. He's right on the edge, anyways, and he is running wide, which is fine, but he's very dirty. I don't know what you guys are looking at on your end. I think the station that was below you when I first came in is gone. If you guys want to go down to 163, that would be great. Go ahead.
Yeah, let's all slide down 163. I don't see anything below us here, and I do see a signal up there, not very strong, but let's go 163. If anybody on frequency, slide down QSY 7163 VA3 VMD.
Yeah, K1GMM QSY.
All righty, we're on the home frequency here, VA3 VMD. Hope that's better for you there, Steve.
Oh yeah, way better. It was still okay, but I like to, there's so much room on this band. There's no reason to do that. I have no problem moving. I'll get away from those guys. I don't care where I go. Well, Not a lot of snow this year, Vito. It's been a pretty barren year, and we had a February that was unusually warm, multiple days pushing 50 and rain. And I figured we'd pay for it. And it's been cold. It was about 20, it's been low 20s here every morning now for a period. And I think we're going to pay for it through March. I know, what was it, 2 or 3 years ago, I couldn't even get on the Spider. The first ride on the Spider was the second week of May. It was ugly, dude, right through April. And it can be like that. You know that up there. Up here in the Northeast, it can be ugly through the entire month of April. So we're still in it, dude. It's still ugly. Let's see if did Ben step out? I'll put it back over to Ben. Kind of keep the rotation going. Ben, if Ben doesn't pick it up, go ahead, Glenn. K1GMM.
I think Ben stepped out. Good morning, VA3 Oscar Zulu.
The wonderful, wonderful Wizard of Oz. Good morning, Denny.
Because of the wonderful things he does. Good morning, Vito.
Hey, good morning. The Ben just stepped out. I'll throw you on the bottom of the list there. Denny. Denny's in Paint Lake, Ontario there, Steve. Very good friend of ours and a frequent flyer here on 7163. So yeah, you got more points coming this morning there, Denny.
Oh boy, more points. What am I going to do with them?
Well, I don't know. I throw them in the fire or something. Keep warm up there.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been listening along since you guys are up KC, and I came down here to join in. And good morning to Steve, K1GMM. I think we've had the pleasure before. Name here is Denny. I'm at Paint Lake, north of Toronto, north of Vito. And I think I heard Glenn in there as well, VE3WGD. Good morning to you. And also, I heard the QRP station in there. I didn't get his name, but VA3AGZ. And Clinton, I didn't get his name, but he was about an S7 or so here at Paint Lake. Anyway, I don't know who to throw. I guess I'm on the bottom here, so I'll just remain on the bottom. Like a crustacean on the bottom of the lake here, and wait my turn. Good morning from VA3OZ.
Okay, very good, Denny. No problem. Welcome aboard. I think Ben stepped out for 15 or 20 minutes, so I'll throw it over to Glenn, and he can say his hellos to you, and then Glenn, you can throw it over to Steve, and Steve can throw it to the Wizard of Oz there. So go ahead, Glenn.
With a pause. Thanks, Vito, and good morning, Denny. And that last time I talked to you was
knock it off.
Maybe a couple of weeks ago, I guess.
Knock it off, anyway, you guys.
The conversation was going about leaving equipment on and everything else and what have you. And the one thing from past experience, I find that when you turn things off and on and off and on type thing, it does wear the cause you some issues and whatnot. So I'm a firm believer of leave it on and then turn it off once type thing and go from there. But Steve, just so you know, you're plus 10 up into Cardinal here, and that and having no trouble whatsoever hearing you. And as I said before to the guys there, I'm just basically 2.5 to 3 years into the hobby per se.
Mikey, I got something new for you too.
For
Mikey,
reference,
if you're still in there, coming up in a bit.
Ham that I talked to after I got my license back in 2020. And I must say that a lot, I haven't found any so far. Touch wood, any. I'm not going to say bad hams, but unwelcoming hams. I have not run across one yet. Now, mind you, I've only been on this a couple of years, and I'm selective on where I go and who I talk to type thing. So I haven't found anybody that wasn't welcoming, and that was a real big help when I first started off, because I was very mic shy, and that I think it took me about 2 days before I got enough nerve up to press the mic button there to talk to. And it was probably this net. Now that I think
that's why I love you guys. You throw these freaking cracks in here,
but I'm sure that it was about 7163. So yeah.
What's going on, Tim?
Getting over the mic fright was the big thing.
Hey, Randy.
Once over that, and I'm still not totally over it, but whatever. It's just the type of guys you talk to makes it easier.
Yeah,
but
I'll do that, Randy.
K1GMM VE3WGD with a pause.
VE3DIG mobile.
I got the digger in there. The mobile recognized coming your way, and I'll keep this brief. Quick shout out to Denny. Yeah, Denny, good to hear you. I think we have worked before, but I didn't look at the history in the log. But you did pop up as work. But yeah, good to hear you. Everybody's got good signals coming in this morning. Quick comment on the power supply. I think it was you, Ben. This was back in 2015 when I first got licensed. I got on All-Star, spent a lot of time working on 2-meter systems, ran an All-Star node here for years on 2 meters, simplex node. And I'll tell you what, man, the guys, and I'll tell you where I'm going with this. The guys that were running the Alinco, I can't remember the model number. It's a 2-meter mobile radio on a simplex node, the best audio, hands down, of any node radio I ever heard. Superb. And I was talking to a friend of mine. He lives up in Rutland. He says, Alinco is very underrated, man. He says, don't shy away from that stuff. It's most people don't realize that. Now, so I started doing some digging. Well, 2016 got my general, and I picked up an Alinco DM330FX power supply, and it's a power supply that runs all the radios to date, has never failed, and it is absolutely superb. The only thing I did was I placed a muffin fan on top of it that runs all the time when the power supply turns on. It's powered from the low amperage outputs on the front. I just have it wired in, kick the power supply on, and the fan, I noticed, just tickling the heat sink on the top. The internal fan never comes on that power supply ever. So it keeps it nice and cool, and you can't even hear it. So that's it. It's my story. Mobile station, DIG. Good morning, K1GMM.
Good morning there, Steve, at K1GMM, VE3DIG in the group. Nice to hear you on frequency here on 7163 with the regular guys. Sounding good here. I'm on the east end of Toronto in the mobile. Hopefully you can copy me half decent with the 100 watts and the screwdriver antenna. I'm hearing everybody quite nicely this morning. Everybody's a 5'7" to 5'9". And just wanted to pop in and say good morning. I'm not sure who is all in there. I believe Vito and Danny, I believe, is in there. And I believe there's another station.
Randy, I forgot to. Next go around.
GD, I think.
See, I'm crazy, Randy. Randy
I don't want to hold it. I'm not sure if you guys are copying.
I can't remember anything from like 5 minutes ago. My brain is freaking shot.
Let's see here. Vito, I guess. VA3 VMD. VE3DIG in the group.
I think Vito might not be back yet. Why don't you go pick it up there, Ozzy Osbourne, VA3OZ, K1GMM. And yes, sorry about that, Caesar. I knew it was you, but I couldn't put it together. Good to hear you. No problem on the copy. About a 5'7" coming in. So very comfortable. And good morning. Hope all is well. Go ahead there. Denny, over to you, man.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Steve, and good morning. K1GMM from VA3OZ. Yeah, we spoke before. It's been a while, though, I think, unless I didn't record it in my log here. But my little comment section here, something about bluegrass music. We were supposed to talk about that next time we hooked up.
Oh, gosh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Wow, I remember that.
I guess we must have gotten the topic of music there, Steve. Anyway, sounding good. And good morning to Caesar Mobile there as well. Not too strong this morning, Caesar. Not sure where you are. V3DIG Mobile from VA3OZ, and it's good to hear you. Excuse me. And hi to Glenn there too. Well, Glenn, I don't know. Good Lord, if Vito was the first one you spoke to, it's a wonder you're still here in the hobby. I just don't get it. But anyway, congrats and welcome to the fraternity. You guys are talking about power supplies. I've got a couple of the Linko DM 330. Well, the oldest one is a DM 330 MV. And the other one is a more modern one. It's not a 32 amp max, but it's a 30 amp max. I can't really see where it is right now to look at it, but it's it runs the other station there, the 870S, and the original Linko I've had for many years, and it's a little long in the tooth. I think it's a pair of electrolytics in there, and I think they're losing their capacity to hold a charge. It doesn't put out enough oomph to get 100 watts out of my transceiver anymore. So it's delegated to small stuff, which it still works good. I have taken the fan off the back quite a few years ago because it was making a kind of a noise, a grinding noise, and a couple of drops of oil fix that up, and it's been good ever since. So sometimes those little muffin fans do need a little tender loving care. It was kind of a tricky thing to do, but it was very small, but I managed to do it anyway. So it's good little power supply. I have never heard a Linko HF transceiver on the air yet that I have liked or I thought was good quality audio. The ones I've heard they weren't very good. I had RF and not very good audio and very weak. I don't know, but there's only a choice few that I've heard in the past. But the power supplies, yeah, man, they're very good, lightweight. I just purchased an Astron regulated power supply. It's what is it now? 50 amp max, 32 amp continuous, or 37 amp continuous. And I always wanted one because of my failing Linko here, so I thought I'd purchase it and bought it used, but it's brand new. And so I'm very happy with that. But what a difference from a Linko that you can hold in one hand. And this thing here is like, 50 pounds. It's huge. It's heavy. So it sits underneath the bench here. And so far, so good. It's working pretty good. Yeah, anyway, Glenn, welcome again to the fraternity. It's nice. Yeah, I think we spoke before as well. And I too was Mike Shy for many years. I was licensed back in '84 with my operator's certificate, and then I got my advance in '85. But the first year or so, I guess the first 3 years or so, I hid behind the straight key CW mostly, and never really got behind the microphone too much. And now you can't shut me up. So there you go. Anyway, not sure who to pass it back to. Caesar, you go ahead. V3 DIG. Dig, dig, dig. I have a dog who used to dig. He likes to dig all day long. Dig, dig, dig. Back to you. V3 DIG Mobile from VA3 Oscar Zulu. Good morning.
VA3OZ, VE3 DIG in the mobile. Hopefully you can copy me okay. I'm back on the hand mic here on the irrigation, the 891. It's a little bit easier. I do have the headset, the IO, but as I'm driving, it's easier to work the microphone. Hopefully, maybe the settings aren't up to par. I don't think I've changed the settings from the headset to the hand mic, so that could use maybe a little bit more gain. So hopefully you're copying me okay, and for a mobile. But yeah, it's Friday. Just trying to wrap things up. I'm gonna have an early day today. We're expecting, I guess, a little bit of this afternoon, I guess. Hopefully we don't get too much. But it's been quite a march. End of February with all the snow coming in late in the winter season. I think spring arrives. I think maybe this weekend. I know the time we go forward. We go forward an hour, so we're going to lose an hour there in the weekend. But that's not much we could do. But nothing else going on here. Just taking care of a few things, making sure the jobs are pretty well. And for Monday, starting up again. And just wanted to pop in there and say hello to everyone. And I might next over, I might try something different. So hopefully you might be able to copy me a little bit better. I know I'm probably a little weak, so I don't want to hold it too long there. So I'll pass it back to Glenn, I believe, the VE3WGD, VE3DIG mobile.
Thank you, Caesar, and pleased to meet you. I've heard you on many times, and and this is the first time I've gotten to talk to you, and you are 5'7" here in Cardinal, Ontario. Just getting a little difficult to hear, but anyway, nice meeting you. Denny and Steve, yes, my Alinco DM330MV, excellent power supply, and I don't think I've ever heard the fan work in it. And I do have an extra fan, but I haven't got it sitting on the top because it does get fairly warm and that, but I've had no issues over the past, as I say, 22 years that it's been running almost 24/7. So for a switching power supply, it's very quiet. I've had no complaints, and I've listened to a lot of people that are really turned off with switching power supplies, but they are sure a lot more economical and a lot lighter than the linears. But mind you, a linear supply is good, but well, I've got no complaints, and it's been working fine and that. So other than that, Steve, I'm going to watch one of your videos there later on your YouTube channel there. It's first time I've gone to your page there, so it'll be interesting to see, as it were. And I can't be offended by anything, so I'm cool with that for sure. Maybe, do we think that maybe Ben is back yet? VA3QK, VE3WGD.
He's giving his wife a foot massage.
Okay, well, in that case, maybe we better try, how about you, Steve? K1GMM.
Yep, I got it. And welcome back to the Goon. Vito. I am trying to figure out if I should sidestep here. There's there were two things I wanted to address in the chat. It's kind of like Barnum and Bailey brothers there, Ben. This video is, I'm streaming right now. So once I kill it, you'll be able to go in and watch it. So that may be a good place to start. It's recent. It'll be the most recent one under the live tab on the channel. If you go there, and go wherever you want. I don't care. I don't even know why I said that. I wondered that about the switching power supplies. This seems to be very quiet. This Alinco, and I ain't selling Alinco. Everybody, get their hair wet again. Keep the hair from standing up on end thinking I'm pushing something, which I do not do. Run whatever you want, buy whatever you want. I don't give a crap. So, geez, I was trying to think. I did have a question for everybody. Something I'm interested in, and it stems from, something I put up a couple days ago. Regarding choosing a new transceiver. Remember I was talking about that earlier? I was just kind of curious. We've got a lot of new guys, it sounds like, new people who haven't been in the hobby that long. I'm still on training wheels. I've only been in here since 15. I'm just curious what everybody has tried and what they've settled on. What they consider their wheelhouse to be, what they enjoy most about the hobby. Always fun for me to hear that. So if you guys want to comment on that, please do. Go ahead, Vito, VA3, VMD, K1, GMM.
Okay, Steve, thanks. I appreciate it. And yeah, good question. Really, really good question. Well, for me, putting the audio side thing apart, what really has cranked my wheels has been the interconnectivity with networking and remoting. I'm not going to say from day one, but I would say probably within the first 8 months.
What's up there, Glenn?
Probably 6 months. I started networking the radio remotely, first from within, inside the house, and then working my way outwards. And I've been doing it ever since. And for me, that's really been a kicker because I've always enjoyed my industry where I made my bucks, and that was data communications and networking. So it was a strength of mine that I brought into the hobby with me. And remoting's been very, very important to me. As much as I don't do it as much over the past couple of years because of COVID, and normally I'm at least in Florida or somewhere in the States for 6-8 weeks at a time. I haven't been able to do that, but nevertheless, for me, I've settled in basically on the ICOMs for that, and I've tried a lot of different radios. I have a Kenwood in the mobile, a 480 stat, and that's done me really, really well for my road trips. But other than that, that's been my kicker, Steve. It's been the remoting aspect and the interconnectivity aspect of the radios to the network and remoting. So I'll throw it over to Denny, and then I'll realign myself back into the list here. So we'll go Glenn, Steve, Caesar, Denny, and then back to myself, and we'll break to see if Ben comes back in as well. So Denny, I'll throw it over to you, and then throw it back to Glenn, and we'll go through the rotation, and you can make your comments. VA3 VMD, go ahead.
Okay, excuse me. Thanks, Vito. VA3 VMD in the group. VA3 Oscar Zulu. Very good. Well, I not much into remoting and stuff, but I guess Steve, to answer your question, for me, it's probably rag chewing. What we're doing right now, I guess. I spent a lot of time on 40. I have spent a lot of time on 17 meters, which is a great band for rag chewing. Very friendly band. And hooking up with people that you normally would speak with, on a daily basis almost. And I guess for me, I'm always trying to improve the quality of signal in the shack here, whether it be audio or output power or whatever. And maintenance comes with everything, I guess, keeping it all maintained and functioning properly. That's about it for me. I really don't lead a very exciting life as far as amateur radio goes. I sometimes work a few contests, but just to give ticky points. I've been a net controller for many different nets over the years, and kind of got away from that for a while. And so just kind of sit back, relax, and work a little CW from time to time. It's about the extent here. But just, enjoy rag chewing with my friends. That's about it for me. Nothing too exciting or extravagant. The other, for Glenn, the other power supply, just looked at it here behind me. It's also a Linko. It's a newer model, a DM330FX, Foxtrot X-ray. And it puts out a maximum of 30 amps compared to the MV, which was 32 amps. And it's got a couple of ports on it for, low voltage USB ports or whatever. and that one there, it runs. The fan always runs on it, regardless. So it keeps cool, but a very quiet fan and a quiet power supply too. No noise issues whatsoever. And of course, you got that offset too. Yeah, it works quite good, really well. I can't complain about the Elenkos. The power supplies. I've had them for a very long time. Yeah. Anyway, Caesar, I missed where you are mobile. I'm not sure where you are, but I guess I'm going to throw it back to Glenn. VE3WGD from VA3 Oscar Zulu.
Thank you, Denny. Yes, the Elenco power supplies, I got no complaints for sure. I bought it with the TS570 that I got back in 2001 when I was aspiring to become an amateur, and it just took me 20 years to do it. But anyway, yes, as far as Steve, as far as radios go, I've got a 570D that I've had for since 2001 with the Elenco power supply, and that's the radio I first started to use when I got my license in 2020, and I just listened to a lot of guys and everything else, and did a lot of searching on the internet in regards to a newer transceiver, because I wanted something that was more, shall we say, state-of-the-art, software defined, and what have you. And my dream machine is the 7610, but I decided I'd go with the 7300, and I'm very pleased with it because it works flawlessly. It hooked up to the computer fine, runs the programs that I want it to run it, and it works very well and sounds good and very user-friendly. The menus and so on and so forth. And as far as interests go in the hobby, and that I'm still learning, my dream was, to get on the air and talk to every station around the world and everything else and what have you. And the mic fright got me. So, but now it's more, I'll do a little DX. I'm on regular 80 meter nets 3 nights a week. Type thing with a group of guys that made me feel very welcome in the start, and I've been 3 nights a week with them for the past almost 3 years, and I'm active in our local amateur radio club in Iroquois, and we've got a flea market after a hiatus of 2 years or 3 years with the pandemic there. April 1st, we're having our flea market again, so I'll be operating the club table, as it were, and that, trying to sell some stuff, make some money for the club, and which will be fun. So, and I'm on a 2 meter net every week, and I just experiment and trying to find something that really, really interests me. So I'm working on it, and that's about it for sure. So K1GMM VE3WGD.
Okay, thanks there. Thanks, Glenn. I feel like I'm missing someone. Maybe not. Anyways, I know it's coming back to you, Vito. My brain's too soft to keep track of everything. But yeah, interesting. So the next question. This is an interrogation session because I'm always in the information gathering stage. Right? Is thinking about how long you've been in the hobby. I don't think you could probably answer this. Glenn, you might be able to. I know you said you're still trying things and doing different things. I've done a lot of different things, right? So just to kind of give you a snapshot, and this is the reason why I'm asking this question, and I'm going to be doing a video on this to address this very thing. I spent 2 years gathering information, trying different systems, be it TX or RX side, things to improve. The TX side of a transceiver, the RX side, blah, 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 right? But I've also done a lot of other things. But that 2 year period, which is actually close to 3 years, I didn't do much operating. and you can suffer what's called burnout. And I've had this happen even on, let's say I spend all my time rag chewing, right? Well, my personality type, I need to be challenged all the time. And I'll be like, yeah, okay, I need something else to do. So my question is, have you guys ever felt that something's gotten stale? And what have you done about it? The biggest reason I ask this question is because I bet you guys know a lot of people too. You run into these old school hams that have been in the hobby for 30, 40, 50 years. And I know a lot of them have left the hobby, sold all their stuff, come back into the hobby for a 10-year period, got, sell all their stuff, leave the hobby, come back. I've always thought to myself, I would never want to do that. But that being said, I've approached a point of burnout already with certain things. I don't care about certain things anymore. I had to make a conscious decision not to keep me off the air. You know what I'm saying? Get back in there and just literally enjoy running the damn radio, man. Get in there, meet some people, just enjoy the radio. Walk away from all that other stuff for a while. So that's kind of the reason why I'm asking that question. Go ahead, Vito, K1GMM.
Yeah. Okay, Steve. Another excellent question. Before I take it over, I'm not sure if the Undertaker, DIG, was still in there. I was having a problem hearing him. I just want to acknowledge him. Are you still on frequency, Caesar? VA3VMD asking. Go ahead. Okay, I'm not hearing Caesar. He must have cleared, I guess, or shut down. Did anybody else hear Steve or hear Caesar? In case I'm not hearing him, Steve, were you hearing Caesar or no?
Nope, crickets.
I didn't hear him either, Vito.
And me neither.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we weren't leaving him out. Well, Steve, I'll keep it short on this one because I've only been here for 7 years, so I really haven't gotten the burnout thing. But I will tell you where I came a little bit close, and that's when I was playing with all the 7300 RX NTX stuff for days on end till and you're gonna laugh, 2, 3 in the morning trying to figure things out. But I think I've learned kind of where my line is, and that goes along with the audio stuff as well. And I did a lot of audio stuff with the 7300 when I had it, both with virtual audio, obviously with a lot of input from you. And I even did the receive side running SDR console and all that stuff with the PRTX board. And boy, oh boy, I'm telling you, when you start going down that path, you can just keep going day and night. So I've kind of learned now where to draw the line. Even with my UR6 stuff and my virtual audio, I got that thing locked down now, and that's all it does. I don't touch it anymore. I kind of tried. I taught myself to move on, and I think that's the important thing. Because if you keep going back, you keep sliding and swirling down that black hole, and you can get burnout. You're on it all the time. You're trying to figure, I got to figure this out. I got to figure that out, and next thing you know, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. So I kind of learned to draw the line from that perspective. So that's it on that side of things. So I'll throw it over to Glenn. I think it's Glenn's turn, or maybe not.
Hey, John,
I'll let me throw it over to Ozzy, and then then we can bring it up at the top of the list, and we'll throw it to Glenn. Go ahead, Denny.
Okay, thanks, Vito. VA3VMD, VA30Z in the group. Yeah, very good. Yeah, to answer Steve's question, yeah, I've been burned out many times. Not just amateur radio either, but you're right. When that occurs, step back a bit, and for me, I'll go upstairs and rattle off a few tunes on my acoustic guitar. I'll switch over to something entirely different, but you're right. When you get burned out or bored of something, by something different, that's when I usually get on 17 meters or some of the upper bands and call CQ. Make a new friend. You can't do that when you text message somebody. Like the kids nowadays, you can't really get on these electronic devices and just randomly call a number or text a message a number and say, "Hi, how you doing? Will you be my friend?" with amateur radio, it's a little different. You call CQ and you make a friend, and hopefully it continues on. So that's what I do when I get burned out. There's things that piss me off that I hear on the air and or on the bands or on some of the local nets. And that's when I spin the knob and switch it to a different band. And, I'll just strike out on my own type of thing and venture out and reach out and make a new friend or a new contact with somebody else.
I'm getting ideas for streams,
that's what
guys.
I usually do. There's a lot of
this is what I'm doing.
That are stuck on their net lizards. They're like couch potatoes. They stay on a net all day, every day, and it's the same crap every day. You just get so tired of it and burned out that I feel like saying, "Hey, why don't you switch to a different band or a different mode and call out CQ? Do something entirely different." Anyway, that's my take on that. Glenn, I just want to ask you a question, and it's going to, I guess, go back to you. You mentioned 2-meter nets and that sort of thing. Your call is really familiar. In the name, maybe we've worked. Maybe you let me run by your QTH again, your location. Have you ever checked into the Muskoka 2-meter net on Monday nights, or the Blackfly net on 2 meters? I'm not even sure what lake it's on now, but it's just east of me here at Paint Lake. Have you checked in any one of those 2 nets, Glenn? Maybe that's where I heard you before. Not only here on HF, of course, but maybe on 2 meters. We've bumped in, or I've heard you on some of the local nets on 2 meters. Anyway, regardless, back to you, Glenn. VE3WGD, or maybe it was the 3640 group with Kevin, VA3RC. I've heard you there. I don't know. I'm losing my mind. Back to you, Glenn, from VA3 Oscar Zulu.
Denny, no, I've not checked into the only 2-meter net that I've been on, other than the Iroquois net every week, was Burlington, Ontario. I was in that net one night, called in. And of course, I've done some C4 FM and some Wires X stuff, and been on Cross Canada or QC Canada or something a couple of times. And that, so maybe that's a possibility. I've talked to an awful lot of people. For me, an awful lot of people over the last couple of years there. So I have a hard time remembering, and I try to log everybody I talk to and that. But no, maybe this is a reissued call sign from maybe 5 or 6 years ago. It was given up because the gentleman moved and got a new call sign out east or something. So maybe that's a possibility. And that, but anyway, I'll try and rack my brain and see. And yeah, I haven't been in ham radio long enough to get any burnout from it per se, but I have been in electronics since 1970, and that different facets, 4 years as a broadcast engineer for local radio stations, and then into electronic manufacturing and development with Bell Northern Research, Northern Telecom, Digital, Lumonics, companies like that, and where I worked up from being an assembler type thing to supervisor and manager and whatever. And that was probably why I didn't get a lot involved into the amateur radio, because at that time it was too much electronics and everything over and over and over, and that's why now I don't really find it interesting to build anything, and that because the eyes are starting to go a bit and what have you. But I'm more into wanting to operate, and and if it means I have to buy something that I don't have to tinker with, then great, I'll do that. So and plus the fact too that now I'm retired and I've got all the time that I can spend on here, like 8 hours a day if I want to, because the wife's got her hobbies and whatever, and but the thing is, I do go away from the radio for a bit. Like I'll be on only one net, like on Thursday night type thing, and then I'll just listen for a bit, and then I'll watch TV or something like that. I've decided not to make it my life's work, and that because I was obsessed with computers back in the early 80s type thing, with the VIC-20s, the Commodore 64s, the TRS-80s, and then up to the 286.
Playing with the background.
Or the 8088s and 286s and 486s, and then into the newer stuff here. So I used to spend hours and hours and hours, like till 2 and 3 in the morning, trying to get things to work and trying to understand it. So I sort of lost the interest in the computer end, so I said, bring it. And now I'm just going to play around and see if I can find something that tweaks my interest, as it were. So K1GMM in the group VE3WGD.
Yeah, well, thanks everybody. I'm cheating. I'm gathering. This is what I've been doing lately. I'm gathering ideas for stuff, but it's very interesting to hear how other people handle that sort of thing. So thanks for the answers. I was just curious. I'll let you answer this. Well, let me put it over to you, Danny. This is a silly one, but how does the VA and VE work for Canadian call signs? I know, the number is basically a section number, whatever, kind of like what we have here: 1 land, 2 land, 3 land, blah, 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 etc. But I'm kind of curious if, some guys are VAs, some are VE. Is there some rhyme or reason to that? Go ahead, Denny. Grab it. You can answer that and then push it up to Vito. K1GMM.
Okay, Steve, very good. K1GMM from VA3OZ. Actually, my original call, which I still hold, is VE3ONG. And I just acquired VA3OZ, I don't know, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. In Canada, I don't know why they issued the A. I guess maybe the E's were running out. And so they had to, put an A in there, another prefix, I guess, to the call. And I quite often get confused too with A's and E's. And but it's all the it's the number 3, of course, is for Ontario, and Manitoba's 4, et cetera, just like you guys used to be, I think. But it's not the case anymore. It seems like. Anyway, I guess it's because maybe they just ran out of call signs to fill the need, Steve, and that's why they introduced VAs as well. Mind you, our licensing structure has changed many times in Canada. And one time it was the Department of Communications, and then it was Industry Canada, and I don't even know what the hell it's called now, but it's always changing. And I think it was in 2000 when they dropped the station license fee, which was only $23 a year to hold your call sign. And they did away with that. Of course, that they did away with all of our political say in any matters as far as the government goes as well. The government just kind of walked away from us, and so we're on our own. Of course, there was no more license fee for your station license or your call sign per year, which I didn't mind paying. Gave you some political say in things, but that's not the case anymore. That's since 2000. So to be honest, I really don't know. Maybe Vito can answer the question better, but I think it's just a lack of running out of call signs and to fill the need, and they introduce A's as well. The trouble again with once the station license fee was abolished, you have many people who end up being silent keys. The
I
family
keep forgetting, Randy. I'm going to do it right now. See if I can break in at the end of
this person has passed away. Let's put the call sign back in the system so someone else can pick it up, like Glenn did with his call sign. And so a lot of call signs are in limbo and not being even used because of people passing away, etc. So maybe that's the reason why some of these call signs have, there's a need to have additional calls like A instead of E's. I'm not really sure. Vito, maybe you can answer that question better than I. But when they did away with the license fee, it was just like, I don't know, kind of opened things up to chaos and whatever. It's just they kind of walked away from policing frequencies and bands and such. No more porcupine trucks running around, roaming the highways. Making sure no one you can really contact too if you're having troubles with interference with somebody. You're kind of on your own. It was the self-policing aspect that they were trying to instill in all of us, and that works to a point, I guess. But anyways, that's my take. Very long-winded and probably didn't mean a hell of a lot. Vito, VA3EMD in the group from VA3OZ.
Quick comment.
A3QK.
Okay, and we'll throw Ben after me in the list here. And we'll let him back in the rotation. Welcome back, Ben. Industry Canada is now Innovation, Science, and Economical Development. That's the group responsible for licensing. When I first got my ticket, it was Industry Canada, but when I upgraded to my
look at that, he's about an S7. Sounds like he's freaking 20 over. I
it was
love
Innovation, Science, and Economic Canada.
I'm going to share something.
That's now in charge, whatever that means and whatever that is, because it doesn't sound like radio to me. But anyway, and Denny, I think you hit the nail on the head. The reason for the VA was that the VE pool was running out, and so they introduced the VA pool, and I believe when a call sign is given back, I think there's a 5-year hiatus before it goes back into the pool. I might be wrong on that, but that's what I thought I was told. So maybe that's true, maybe that's not. I'm not 100% sure, but that's what I heard. And I'm gonna ask another question now, since Steve was throwing around the questions. I'm interested in the different areas in Ontario, and I'm going to also include Vermont in this, because my experience with, I'm going to go back to VHF, UHF here. My experience here in Toronto, in the Greater Toronto area, was nothing but a joke for the most part with VHF, UHF. As a matter of fact, they had to shut down a couple of repeaters up on the CN Tower. Now think about that, Steve. The CN Tower is one of the tallest standing free structures in the world. And it was worse than 11 meters. I mean, there was jammers and, all name calling. Do a Google search on VE3 TWR, for tower, VE3 TWR. And look at all the malicious crap that's on there regarding that repeater. You'd be afraid to be even associated with communicating on that repeater. So maybe next go around, you guys can give your experiences on VHF, UHF, and how your experience has been with that. I know in some parts of Ontario it's actually really good. But here in the GTA, I'm almost afraid to key up. I mean, I have a radio here.
Hey, Lindsay.
But I very seldomly
Good to see you in here.
get on here. I'll listen maybe a little bit. But not only that, you can scan. I can scan about 30 repeaters here, And
John,
it's
I think
a
they're
roulette
ICOMs.
wheel. It just keeps going and going and going
ICOMs,
and never
and
stops.
I think maybe one anon, something like that.
Activity is very, very minimal as well. So, Ben, I'll welcome you back. I'll put you after me. And you can throw it to Glenn when you're done. VA3QK, VA3VMD.
VA3VMD, VA3QK returning to the rotation. Thank you. Thanks for slotting me in there, Vito. You notice I'm trying very hard to train myself to leave about a 5-second pause, just because you never know who else may want to join us. So, Denny, I'm learning from you. I'm learning to pause. It's a little bit hard, but I'm doing my best. I guess I came in for the tail end of the conversation. I heard the Denny talking about the VE and the VA call sign issuing, and also the time of the discontinuance of the license fees, station fees. I came into the hobby just before they eliminated the licensing fees, so I do remember having to pay for my station license for at least a few years. And I was recounting the story to Steve, the VE3SIZ, Vito. Back in '95, when I was licensed, I actually went down to the government building there at Yonge and St. Clair. I think it was 55 St. Clair Avenue East, if you remember, and that's where I did my licensing, both the written and the code. Apparently, they don't do that anymore. Apparently, now you have to search out an examiner, or you can do it online, according to what Steve was telling me. So that was kind of new. Now, you asked about VHF, UHF. I very briefly had a 2-meter handy talkie back in around 2000 when I was down in Richmond Hill. I was able to hit the YRP repeater, which was over at, I think, Jane and King Road. And anyway, I didn't have it for very long. I didn't really find it to be that enjoyable. But I did meet a couple of very, very nice hams who lived in the area through that repeater, and Denny may remember the name.
I'll fix that.
VE3ATO. She was in Aurora. He's now a silent T. And Nicholas, VE3NJG, who was in Holland Landing, also very, very nice fella. I'm now also a silent T. So I remember that was my 2-meter experience. So I can tell you honestly, Vito, I never
That's a beautiful thing about SDR right
did
there.
with the Toronto
I can put as
CN
many of
Tower
those in as I
repeater there.
want.
Gladly, I can say I didn't have to experience that. Anyway, long-winded key up. Probably would have timed out the repeater if I had ever really used it. Over to you, Glenn. VE3WGD, VA3QK. Oh, and good morning, Denny.
Good morning, Ben.
Thanks, Ben, and I left a pause there. Yeah, Steve, Vito, up this way, we have the club that I'm with, the Iroquois Club. We have 3 repeaters, and that one in Iroquois, one in Winchester, and one in Chesterville. And Morrisburg, not Chesterville. And they're very underused, and that you can go days and never hear a soul on it. The odd time somebody will be on it, but very underused. Now, there are a couple of repeaters up in the
John.
Ottawa area.
I have something.
Or at least one that has a bad reputation.
I have something I'm going to share, which I just got going this morning and completed on the RX side. It's really cool. It may not be for everybody, but it's really cool. And I'm going to share that shortly when it comes back to me. I'm going to sign clear with these guys. So.
I try not to be too coarse.
Boy, these guys ought to be on AM or something. They are freaking long-winded. Holy crap, I thought I was bad. Listen to this guy QRMing in here. It's time for me to go. This is what these guys do on 40 meters.
A lot of it. I ignore that. I
Classless
slide on by.
turds, basically.
A conversation starts to go downhill type deal. I just conveniently find something else to do or an excuse to make to get out of it. I don't want to argue with anybody, and it's not my thing to be that type of individual. So I want to enjoy the hobby and not be stressed out by it. So I try to ignore it, as it were. So other than that, that's about all I can say on that. Hopefully the industry or the hobby doesn't go that route, because it's really too bad, because people, why they got to act a certain way that is contrary to accepted norms, I don't know. But anyway, we'll just have to live with it. K1GMM in the group, VE3WGD.
Well, you know what I always say, right? K1GMM. And this is going to be my last go. I got to get out of here, and there's some things I need to address in the chat before I shut everything down. I got to get upstairs. You've heard me say it, Vito. You could probably repeat it verbatim. Every asshat you meet on the street is in this hobby. People think when they get into this hobby, it's a utopia. It is not. It is not. This is not an exclusive thing. There was just somebody down below us, QRMing the living crap out of me. Well inside the past. They don't care. It's called mental instability. There is so much. Go talk to your pharmacist. Here's a challenge for you guys. Go in and ask your pharmacist and just ask them, do you see a lot of prescriptions going out for antidepressants? You would not believe. It's like a freaking epidemic right now. So there you go. That's all you need to know. Explains a whole lot. You gotta laugh. It's very sad, and I actually feel sorry for them. I actually do. It used to bother me a lot, but I actually feel pity. You know what I mean? It's a very sad thing. I hope they're able to get some help somewhere. Would be really cool, so they can be actually a functioning, contributing member of society, and especially the community in here, Anyways, that's my soapbox, and I'm hopping off. We'll catch you guys later. To answer Vito's question, VHF, UHF, it's dead here, dude. I have so many stories I could tell you, but I'm not going to say it over the air because it's just not worth it. They aren't worth my time, so to speak. But yeah, and I've heard this. It's the same everywhere. And I mentioned this. I've mentioned this before. A friend of mine who's been in the hobby 30 years, close friend, lives in Rome. He told me his Elmer told him, this was a long time ago. He said, you want a very happy life in the hobby, have an enjoyable time and a very long, happy existence in the hobby, stay off the repeaters. I have not been on a repeater in probably 5 years. Anywhere. I just don't go on the repeaters. And I always thought that was kind of comical, and I've heard that from many people. Many people. I don't know, it just seems to be like where the storm center is. You know what I mean? I don't understand it. I know coordinators can be an issue. They think they have power that they do not. We even contacted the ARRL to ask them, and they said, no, he doesn't have the capability to enforce that or whatever. They just coordinate the repeaters, they think, so you get these repeaters seem to be like a centralized power trip. I don't know why. But in a lot of unethical stuff that I've found out and I've experienced, but I'm not going to go any further than that. So yeah, Vito, I believe it, dude, but they're pretty much dead here. A lot of big repeaters up here, dude, including DMR, stuff like that. I think they get a little bit of traffic, but nothing like the days of old. Anyways, 7-3, you guys. Good to meet good to hear everybody. Meet you guys, and have a great rest of the day, man. Put it back up to you, Vito, and you can send her around. I'll be listening for a short period here, but I gotta go. K1GMM. Thanks a lot, gang.
Hey, Steve, thanks for joining us, and please join us more often. It was great, throwing us the quizzes and the questions. The quiz master. All the best, buddy, and we'll talk sooner than later, that's for sure. So all the best to you in 73. I'll throw it over to Denny and the boys to clear with you, and then we'll get back in the rotation. Go ahead, Denny.
All right, thanks, Vito. Yeah, we'll see you later, Steve. It's always nice chatting with you. And excuse me, thanks for the questions. Hopefully we provided some answers. And whatever you do, don't get yourself burned out. We'll talk later. K1 GMM from VA3 Oscar Zulu. I'm not sure. I think it maybe goes to Ben. Go ahead, Ben.
Yeah, thank you, Denny. Steve, good to run into you again. Please, like Vito said, join us more often. I like the idea of the quizzes. I didn't hear most of the questions because I was gone, but I like the concept. So please come by more often. Always welcome for sure. 7-3 and enjoy your day. And I'll send it over to Glenn, VE3WGD, VA3QK.
Thanks, Ben, and Steve. It's been a pleasure. Nice meeting you, and hope to talk to you again. So 7-3, take care, and we'll go from there. Let's see. I guess we go back to VA3 VMD.
Hey, I got a quick one.
Yeah, go ahead, Steve. Go.
Yeah, thanks so much for a nice welcome. I really appreciate it. And I hate to be corrective. They weren't quizzes. I was interrogating you. I call it interrogation, on over the air interrogation. It was a little bit of waterboarding, but all interesting stuff. And geez, there was something. Oh yeah, the next round. Get ready for the next round because I love this. I love hearing what attracted people to the hobby. That is fascinating to me. And some people have some pretty interesting stories. So maybe, and it helps me get to know everybody. You know what I mean? It's nice. So anyways, we'll catch you later. 7-3 guys. No need to comment. Go ahead, Vito. K1GMM. See ya.
Okay. I'm going to leave you with this as you go on that, and we'll pick it up next time you come in. But for me, it was the overalls, the suspenders, no front teeth, and a carrot out of the front two teeth. 73, Steve.
What a picture.
Well, hey, when I go to Hamfest this year, I'm wearing my suspenders, my blue pants, and a diaper. Over to you, Denny.
You got to have about 10 HTs hanging all over your belt.
On it, and don't comb your hair or brush your teeth either. Yeah, haven't been to a Hamfest for a long time. Yeah, Steve, see you later. You're a nester. We'll call you the nester. He likes to gather information and nest it along there. So very good. And Ben, you mentioned Nick. He used to run the Ontario Swap Shop.
Yeah, I'll just sign over the top. K1GMM clear. See you.
I think his son Wes passed away too. V3
Okay.
ADU.
Alrighty. Okay, what was boy, it was like that for so many of us, John. ON80EI. Let's see. Mikey, if you're still there, the audio card completely went sideways on me. Sample rates got switched. Wouldn't work. It kept hijacking the sample rates. Got worse and worse. Couldn't get it back. Had to uninstall the driver, put it back in. I got so freaking fed up with that thing. I ripped it out and threw it. It's on the desk, and I'm probably going to shoot it. I've had it with that thing. So I put it's a commercial card, a studio card. It's a Tascam US 1641, 16-channel card, and that's what's over in the rack. And that has been rock solid. No more of that crap. So, let's see. Yeah, check this out, you guys. This was the other thing I was going to tell you. So if you look right here on Cakewalk, I have, for the past couple of days, I have been looking for, well, let me explain this, all right? So you guys have a visual. I know, if you look right here on the sun, you have the binaural, B-I-N. What that does is it creates basically a stereoscopic image of the RX audio. The problem is the system I run, the RX DAP, is a mono system. You can turn that on, the binaural function, and it won't work. Also, you have no control over it, so it's either on or off. So check this out. I'm going to be doing a video on it, and I'm going to be updating the CWP. People can choose to run it or not. This is the Sonitis. It's really cool. I like it. You guys may not like it. But the entire thing that you guys were listening to, if you listen to the RX side of the radio today, that entire stream was with a binaural stereoscopic imaging plugin running. And it creates like a multi-dimensional image. It's maybe a little tough to hear on speakers. I can hear it on the speakers I have, but if you put on a pair of cans and listen to it, you'll hear it. Excuse me. So that's what this is right here. And believe it or not, I can't believe I downloaded all these to try them. I found this in Cakewalk. It's called the Sonitis Surround. And this will, if you're running a surround system on your speakers in your shack, holy crap, that would be really cool. But I run this in a stereo configuration. So it basically creates a stereo image of a mono signal. And it kind of shifts the frequencies in the audio spectrum to each side of the image. And a lot of times it can increase copyability, because sometimes, you know, if you're listening in cans and you're listening to a mono signal, it sounds like it's coming from the center of your head, right? So what this does is it moves everything out, creates a stereo image out to the left ear and right ear, creating space. So you can adjust the effect of it, how much of it you want, and it's very variable. There's a lot of adjustment in here, so it's something fun to play with. I really miss that binaural capability. The Anon has it as well, but with this system, you can't run it because this is a mono system. So you can turn it on, but you won't hear it. Now this fixes that, and it's even better because it's infinitely adjustable. So you can have just a hint of it to create like give the audio some space. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't sound like it's coming from just one point. That's always kind of bugged me, but a lot of people may find it a little unnerving. So you'd have to try it. Anybody who's running it, give it a shot. And if it doesn't work, just delete it out of the plugin chain or just leave it in bypass. All right. That's it, guys. I got to run upstairs. You can hear the wife is in the kitchen and we are doing lunch. 730. We'll catch y'all later. Thanks for checking in.